Yes, guys, there's no review. It's just us doing a cappella versions of anime intros. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome back to the Amateur Otaku live stream. We are so excited to be back here. We just had an amazing conversation about our favorite anime openings. But now to the main event, guys. MHA Season 6, Episodes 118, The Thrill of Destruction, and Episode 119, Encounter, Part 2. So I don't know. It just needs to happen. Guys, I feel that these episodes are actually just one big episode. And
yeah,
I'm gonna keep saying it. I said it in the opening tweet. I'm gonna say it now. The plus Ultra Shigaraki unleashed. Holy shit.
cow.
Yes, a lot of cows. Guys, we have a lot to discuss. What we're going to talk about My Hero Academia. Spoilers ahead. We finally got to the moment, Mike. We are here. Plus Ultra Shigaraki. I think it's funny because we got regular Shiggy, right? We got plus Ultra Shigaraki. And I love the evolution. And I love what they're doing with him on the show. I have one more thing to say about it, but I want to hear thoughts before we jump in. Mike, you are, not only are you present, Mike, you are the MH historian. So tell us, how many chapters did we cover? How is it looking? Talk to us.
Yeah, so episode 118 covered the usual, about 3 chapters. But episode 119 is fascinating because that covered 2 chapters. And you can tell that they intentionally slowed the pacing down for that specific episode. And you can kind of feel it too. It kind of feels like it comes to an abrupt end and a halt because it actually jumps 2 chapters ahead to when we get those Nomu. But we're going to stick with episode 118, the thrill of destruction. And he wakes up, right? That's the big thing with this episode is Tomura is awake. And it's terrifying. Shout out to Xless, who actually got a bit more screen time in the anime adaptation this time. You don't see him get decayed by Shigaraki. I think showing that death makes it way more intimidating and way scarier. Like in the manga, you just see Shigaraki with the cape and it's implied. But this time you see him like just take it for himself. And it just shows that Shigaraki's really going through the motions these first 2 episodes, right? He even says in this last one that he finally has woken up. And that's the scary thought of, you mean this guy is sleepwalking and he's going against the top heroes? We're not going against the kids. Endeavor, Hawks, Ryukyu. Like, we have all of these major heroes in this fight. And I know Hawks is on another battlefield, but it's like these pro heroes are struggling right now.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
Yes.
Xless gave him a badass cloak.
Yes.
That's all he served. That's the only purpose he served, and I kind of love it for that.
Well, I wonder if that cloak was meant to be an Akira reference, and I'm serious about that.
It is an Akira reference. There's no way that is not an Akira reference.
It definitely is an Akira reference.
Tetsuo Kaneda! Tetsuo Kaneda! Okay, that's a reference. Boom, 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 boom. JoJo guys out there, I know you got it. Now, so the reference within. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Inception.
I love that you mentioned terror because the book didn't do it this way. The book just kind of like presented the threat that Shigaraki is, right? They presented the threat that plus Ultra Shigaraki is once he awakens. But I feel that the anime is making it a point to show him as a symbol of terror. And I love what they're doing with him in the show. Not only is he awakened by thunder like Frankenstein, and you literally see the electricity, and they make it a point for you to see the computers. Like you see that one computer that's still connected. There's power running, and he's awakened like Frankenstein's monster. He literally destroys, right? But not only does he destroy, he takes from the rubble, which is the symbology that you see there. Like he's taking the world by destroying the world. He's taking the world, which is kind of what they show when he kills Xless and takes the cape, right?
Right.
And then I love how as soon as he awakes, or almost when he awakes, one of the first things that we see is, oh my God, what's happening? Why? He's standing. And it's GigantoMachia, my master. Like, I love the fact that they're using all those elements of the story. I love how they're meshing the two arcs now to favor the presentation of plus Ultra Shigi as the new symbol of terror. It does just everything so well. And I love how it plays out throughout. And also, I find it interesting how you mentioned that he's been sleepwalking all this time, because he's been sleepwalking for the entirety of the show. Like,
I mean, when he fought in the MVA arc, he is giving it 100% against GigantoMachia.
No, yeah. I don't disagree, but he always had that tired, unlived kind of semblance, right?
Yeah, I was just speaking more of he legitimately just got out of this tank and he's bodying Endeavor. And he's not even trying. That's my point of like, oh my God, he's not even trying yet.
Yes.
Goodness.
Yes. That reminds me of all the stories from Kobe. Like like all the stories you get from like rivals or other people from their teams. Hey man, let's go work out at this time. Perfect. And Kobe was there like 2 hours before.
Yeah.
And when they're done working out, Kobe's still working out.
Watch the Redeem Team on Netflix, everybody. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's I mean, Block Mamba. Oh my God.
It's so good.
Yes. But no, yeah, I love the whole symbol of terror thing. I think that's what I'm enjoying the most out of it, because I feel that we finally have a villain to fear. Because we always got glimpses of darkness and evil, but we never had a monster to face. Because you can't really count All for One, because One for All Might was still around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like this symbol of terror aspect. I love how everybody's thinking about Camino. Is it Camino? Where the whole thing with All for One happened?
Yeah, Camino.
Like,
Which they have that All Might's memorial there now this season, which I think is interesting.
Yes. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. I love everything. What great. Now, the best thing about Isaac, what do you like so far about the reveal of Plus Ultra Shigi?
I mean, it's a pretty powerful. It's extremely powerfully executed, and sort of like you show the power that he has and the menace that he is right now. Sure, he was dangerous before, but he's in another class now, kind of deal.
Yeah. He's at another level. I love how we keep calling him Plus Ultra Shigi, because we learned that on the last episode, how the only way that the doctor, right, describes him is like he's the equivalent of what you guys call Plus Ultra. Yeah. Which I find it kind of like wink, wink. Like we're trying to take your concepts and turn them on their head and use them against you.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you're watching and it's like, how do they get out of this? And it's, again, we read the manga, so we know how they get out of it, but it's really fun going back and seeing how they are changing the presentation, and also seeing how some of our friends are reacting, because our friend Cliff friend of the show, he's just like, oh my God, what is going to happen next? He's on his toes every week, and it's so crazy. Shadow Ultra.
I don't know why. I that's definitely a Pokemon reference and a Super Smash reference rolled into one. It's like it's like distinguishing a shiny version of a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Which is funny because when he was using Search, One for All was the shiny version of all the other quirks.
So you're basically talking about Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD,
Yes.
Eternal Darkness.
Yes.
Do you even know the games I'm talking about?
I have no clue, but you're my friend, so I'm gonna say yes.
You are my friend. Sorry. I still got the Naruto intros in my ear. But yeah, well, everything's a JoJo's reference or a Pokemon reference. That's what it is. But one thing, me being the historian here, one thing I don't know if you guys noticed is that they are changing the pacing and how this goes.
Yes.
In this arc. They're speeding things up. They're slowing certain things down. Yes. We're cutting to GigantoMachia next week, if you saw the preview. And it's like, that does not happen for a bit in the manga. Like, that's like 5 chapters down the road. And they just decided to start splicing the wars up, the 2 battlefronts up into one episode. So that'll be interesting to see how that pays off. They started a little bit with this one, ending with the shot of the Nomus, which doesn't happen for another 2 or 3 chapters. So I think it's going to be fascinating. This is the moment in the adaptation where it's like Bones is finally starting to make some changes and make some major adjustments. How is that going to impact the story? Is it going to be for the better? Is it going to be for the worse? Is it not going to make a difference? And that's the thing I'm most interested in seeing. But narratively, focusing back on Deku, right? And like the look in his eyes, he was like a deer in headlights at first. When he hears the words "one for all" over the intercoms, right? That moment, that fear in his eyes is so good. But also, you get the moment where it flips and he goes into hero mode and he's like, okay, I'm going to go this way. I got to get out of here and lure him away.
No, and he's in tears.
Yeah.
Because he's afraid. There's so much going on in his head. It's crazy.
It's so much. And then you've got his boy Bakugo right there backing him up, who is acting like he's not there for Deku, but we all know he kind of really is there for Deku, which is amazing, especially now their relationship with Endeavor and getting Endeavor there. And you see Shigaraki using air cannon, and it looks like Nine's air cannon from the movie. And it's like, that was a great addition. That was a great change. Making the movie canon, essentially, which I thought was fantastic. No more movies. Focus on that should have been the plan from the beginning.
Hey guys, from here on out, we're doing the community thing. 6 seasons in a movie.
Wow. Does that make this the final season? Part 1 of My Hero Academia.
Now, I'm glad that you mentioned the fact that they're switching things up, which I think could be very brilliant.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the pacing of how the battle is going, right? It would make sense for them to do this for the sake of making the aftermath of that Shigaraki fight the end of the core or the season, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no way with that setup that you end with GigantoMachia. Like, there's just no way. It just doesn't make sense story-wise. Because we all know the big event is what they've been trying to prevent, but it still happened. Now, it's in the terror thing. Yes, the whole thing with Crust, that was heartbreaking.
So crushing.
And I'm also glad the weight that show is giving all the hero deaths. Like, there's weight to them. I love the fact that we have other characters commenting about it. It's actually very good, so good. Now, in regards going back to the organization about the show and everything, the other thing that I loved about it was the fact that, remember how in the beginning of the season, we started noticing the little interactions between Deku and the other kids in the city, which we talked about how they are additions to the anime. Now we know why. Because it made the transition into the Deku introduction for the Shigaraki arc so smooth. Because we've been visiting them little by little.
Yeah, can you imagine if we just met Deku now in this episode, this
Right.
season? That's practically what would have happened.
Right. And it's funny because if you look back also to it, most of the main interactions there are Bakugo and Deku almost 100%.
Yeah.
Like they were the ones being like the main actors there. So that was just great. I love that there. Isaac, do we have anything else on Shiggy? On the pacing or anything like that?
I'm
This,
going. There you
I
go.
would say that this conversation right direction.
Yeah.
I love Gran Torino, by the way, in this last
Yes.
episode, where it's like
Yes.
those boys were about to get themselves one-shotted, and he had to.
And I'm so sad that you guys didn't get my pun.
Yeah, that's rough, buddy. But Gran Torino.
Since it's a reference to this episode.
Runtime, direction. But yes, Gran Torino, yes.
Yeah, I got it. I understand. But yeah, I think Gran Torino was great. Like I love how we've gotten to this point, 119 episodes in. Be Gone Bot. Hold on, blocked. There we go. 119 episodes in, we got to all of these heroes, and it's all finally paying off. Right, we're cutting to Mount Lady and Midnight, and we're cutting to Yaoyorozu and Shoto and Endeavor and Hawks and Tokoyami, and it's like it's all working in unison in a way that it's clicking on all cylinders in a way that My Hero Academia really never did before. Like you go back to the Overhaul arc, great arc, love that season, love that story. Bakugo's not in it. The story didn't have room for Bakugo. He had nothing to do in that arc. He had the next arc. But like now every major character has something to do of importance and weight, and it feels like a crisis, right? This is the
Crisis on Infinite Academias. I said it. I'll say it again.
Yes. And addressing this comment, powered up Shiggy, yeah, he's Deku's Doomsday, right? He's that guy. Plus Ultra Shigaraki and the evolution to come.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned Gran Torino. We got to talk about Dabi.
Yeah.
Our boy Dabi.
Our third favorite fire user in this show.
Yeah, like but I also love
We're
how
talking about the hot wings.
Wow. Actually, no. It's more Dabi. No Hawks. No Hawks yet. So they deserve their own time. But what I love about Dabi is that we keep getting a little bit more of what this character is. Like we mentioned before, we never got. I think we mentioned this in the last time we covered My Hero. We never got a lot of Dabi, right? And I'm glad that we're still.
A lot of Dabi.
Yes. I love how we're getting more of Dabi, more of his demeanor, how he only cares about his objective, whatever his objective is, right? But I love how he uses people for his objective and how he kind of also operates outside of whatever the League of Villains was. Like, even within all the chaos, he says, okay, I don't want to play militia anymore. It's not working for what I want to do. So I love how he's kind of like a free agent of chaos within the chaos, which makes it even more interesting once we find out what his end game is, which is great.
Yeah, totally. You know, that's again a thing I love about this season, the pacing and how it's all coming together. We get a moment like that, and that's really the only time we see Dabi now after his confrontation with Hawks. Yes, we're supposed to be a unit. I also love how he calls Compress out and it's like, well, you're right here with me, man. So clearly you're not doing your job either. This isn't working. So I'm out of here.
He's that guy. It's like, you're not calling me out. That's just not happening.
Yeah. But also Toga, right? Like there's so much that happens.
Yep.
Like her disguising herself as one of the heroes and just going ham on the heroes in that action scene. It's just like, you see how unhinged she becomes and how the death of Twice has affected her.
Yeah.
It's essentially broken Toga. in a way that we've never seen her before. And that is so much to juggle. And I don't know how Bones is gonna handle it all, because Horikoshi himself had a hard time handling some of it when he was writing the thing.
Yes.
But yeah, it comes down to pacing and plotting, and it's all coming together really well. I'm enjoying again the moments with Deku. It felt so earned, right?
Yeah.
Like you were talking about Search, and I love going back to Ragdoll and having her reminisce on, if I had my quirk, this would be way easier for us. And then it just cuts to Shigaraki using the quirk.
Yeah.
And it's like that is great. And that's something ripped from the manga. That's not an addition. But the animation and the music made it so much better, because you see the glint in Shigaraki's eye.
Yep.
And you see the rainbow colors in his eye, something that the manga couldn't do. And it's just like, oh, that's smooth.
Now, one of the things that I found interesting, I'm glad you mentioned that, is that, do you notice that we didn't get the narrator quirk explanation?
Yeah.
Because if we had that, it would break the flow. So they're making very good decisions to not break the flow of what they're presenting. Now, you were mentioning Toga, and what I love about what's happening with Toga, Dabi, Compress, what's happening with Tsukuyomi and Hawks, is that not only are you seeing the agency of these characters, but I love how the show is taking the time to present that these characters have specific wants, have specific needs, and that they're trying to surround themselves with people that want similar things, which makes them lived-in characters as opposed to just characters that we're going to scratch off at some point, which is making the world bigger. Because a lot of people think, like, again, here we go. The reason Naruto... we have to do it. We have to do it.
We have to, unfortunately.
Yeah. The reason I love Naruto so much and I defend the fillers is because the reason Naruto's world feels humongous but filled, because you can have a big world and it not be filled, right?
Yeah.
The reason why it feels big and lived in is because almost every character in the world of Naruto has an agency, has a want, has a need. Whether simple or great, you always see something in them that makes them feel a character that could grow into something more.
Except for Tintin, but
again, I mean, what grows is her baggage. And what I mean by that is a lot of weapons. I don't know why I said that, but it just happened.
I'm just glad Isaac didn't jump in and make it worse.
Yes. But the whole thing, but what I loved about is the fact that Horikoshi gets it. The way that we make this world bigger is by making sure that the characters that we have grow, move, evolve. And that's what's happening with these characters in front of us. And that's what this world is so great.
Small pivot, sticking to Naruto. We have a comment.
Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. We have a comment here. I've seen some Naruto fillers. When I watched Naruto, I didn't watch the fillers. And I think it's interesting, Brandon's point of how it makes the world feel a bit expanded. Because one of my major issues with Naruto is that the entire idea of the show is Naruto's friendship with Sasuke. And
right.
If you read the manga, if you watch the canon episodes of the show, he and Sasuke aren't really together that long, and they aren't really friends when they are. So It was really hard for me to buy into that idea. But if you have filler arcs and filler stories with Team 7 and you kind of foster that relationship a bit better, I can see why that would make it more enjoyable, even though some of the fillers might not be the best overall.
And it's funny that you mentioned the whole Naruto Sasuke thing, because you only really see that in Naruto. You really lose that essence in Shippuden. And so much happens in Shippuden, being it substantially longer than the original Naruto series, that unless you're really holding on to the main thread of the story, you kind of lose that Naruto's really just trying to save Sasuke.
Right, but it's like the entire reason he goes with Jiraiya in the first place, and then we have him constantly saying, I'm going to get Sasuke back. I'm like, why? This guy's just out here living his life, wanting to kill his brother, leave him
I'm living
alone.
my best life.
Exactly.
Don't want the good.
But it's like, if they actually felt like brothers, I would
Yeah.
have gotten it. And that's the
Yeah.
thing where it's like, yeah, watching some of the movies, watching some of the fillers, I get it. Like, yeah, they went out of their way to make that relationship important, especially
Right.
Team 7 as a whole.
Right. So, I don't know, guys. Do we have anything else on My Hero?
My Hero Academia has been all killer, no filler this season, I will say.
He has said the thing.
I said the thing. I envy Fat Gum. He was acting like being crushed by Mount Lady was a problem.
Fat Taxi.
I don't think. Oh, Isaac finally has a comment now. Fantastic.
Like I said, this conversation was rearing in the right direction.
Into Mount Lady's rear end. So, I do love the fact that as soon as he sees it, he says, "Bottom." Love the subtitles.
My headset blipped out for a second, guys. So if I missed anything, I'm sorry. But yeah, you know, it's a fun episode, fun couple episodes.
Yeah.
It's scary seeing what's to come. I am impressed that Endeavor didn't get decayed on Impact. So can't wait to see what happens and can't wait to discuss it in 2 weeks.
So there you have it, guys. Our coverage of My Hero Academia episode 118 and episode 119. Oh, first of all, wait. We can't end without talking about the name Encounter Part 2.
Yeah.
We have to. We have to do the thing.
Do
Now,
you guys remember Encounter Part 1?
I do remember because I researched it because I'm an idiot. But I do find it interesting that as soon as I did some research on Encounter Part 1, a lot of people were dissing at it. Like it wasn't a proper encounter or whatever. But I get people missed the point. Because the first encounter between Shiggy and Deku, the idea of the encounters literally is just trying to highlight that there is a connection between these two characters that was introduced and now they're following up with it because both of them have grown so much. It's not really like they fought before. That's not what they're trying to say. It's literally they're finding themselves again. Like none of them understood or imagined that they would become a big part of their lives in the future.
They met at the mall, which will always be funny to me.
Yes. Yes, they did.
Yeah, Encounter Part 2. I love Horikoshi's style where he's like Deku versus Kacchan Part 1, and he just titles it Part 1, but you don't get Part 2. It's like 100 chapters later. And it's like, oh, you were being Mr. Big Brain over here setting that up, huh? But yeah, I think it's really fascinating seeing Deku and Shigaraki and having them finally come together, right? Because I couldn't get a read on it. Does Shigaraki know that Izuku is the one with One for All? Because he just sees the stars. So like that's gonna be really, really interesting. Where it's like, okay, this kid again. Here we go. We have a comment here, which I thought what was interesting. Manga spoilers technically, but they kind of ruined it already. Yeah, Pixie Bob. It was a mystery on if she survived or not, but they just show her okay, and it's like yeah, she lived. Way to undercut the tension from that one. But there's so much going on. I don't even think people really noticed that scene in the adaptation. One thing I really enjoyed was Eraserhead, right? And that's another thing. There's so much going on.
He's so fire.
He's so cool that the villain acknowledges how cool he is.
Yes. Oh, by the way, if we're talking, do you have anything else you want to say about coolness? Because I got something to say in the same through line.
Go for it.
Spider-Man Deku.
Yeah.
Which you can never appreciate in the manga because they never do it in the manga this way. But, buddy, Spider-Man Deku literally web slinging what is it? What's the name of the quirk? Black Whip.
Yes.
Like literally, it's like I don't know if you noticed. There's this one moment where he kind of lands on a building and he kind of takes the Spider-Man pose.
I mean, Horikoshi loves him some Spider-Man. So that might
Yeah,
have been
man.
a special.
Yes.
We see you from Bones. Like, we got you, man.
Yes.
But-
Yes.
Look out! Here comes the Spider Deku.
Down, 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 down.
Yes.
Yes.
And I mean, that might be why the intro is so comic.
Now, the cool thing about the spider thing is like it's not only one character. You got 3 characters that can all have like a Spider-Man link to them. So,
Yeah. The whole Spider Deku is awesome, and that leads into some speculation. I think is fascinating. We have Endeavor say all flyers come to the area. Deku ain't a flyer, but we know one of his quirks is gonna be the power of float. And it's like, yeah, that he doesn't have that power yet. Are we sure he should be trying to web sling on buildings that'll get decayed in seconds? It's kind of weird. But going back, we have Artwinder here saying Eraser the GOAT. Yes, indeed, he is the GOAT. We love him. The sacrifice from Crust is so tragic, but it's also, necessary because Aizawa's the only way they get out of this.
yeah.
Like, if you can't erase decay, they're dead. All of Japan is probably dead.
Yes.
So,
and he's already said it. He's going to destroy everything. So, I mean, there's now I love the whole thing about the setup, like Aizawa getting freaking clear eyes, drops in his eyes. Like the whole setup is great. And of course, I love how he kind of drops the little bit, take off your hands off my idiot students. It's all there.
Yeah, Crust is the reason that the heroes can survive this day.
Yes.
The most important character in the entire franchise.
Yo, I'm going to hashtag this because I think this is the greatest thing ever. Ladies and gentlemen, Crust has earned the GOAT Pass. Yes. GOAT Pass. I love this. Trademark pending. Argwinder. You get all the referrals. GOAT Pass. So great.
Yeah, but I think we hit the major stuff. We just have to see the turmoil next week.
Yep. So, guys, we've done it. We've talked My Hero Academia. We're officially ending this segment now. Oh, boy. Big things.
Shout out to Crust.
Shout out to Crust.
He's the number 6 hero, guys. He's right under Minako.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's like, dude was a GOAT. We just didn't get a lot of time with him.
And he was very creative with his quirk, which is kind of weird, but it worked.
Oh, yeah.
But it's crusty. So, Simpsons reference for some reason.
Oh, jeez.
Thank you guys for joining us in our coverage.
Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it.
Oh, boy. Thank you for joining us on our coverage of My Hero Academia Season 6. We cover it bi-weekly every 2 weeks, so make sure you click on the like button, subscribe, and click on the bell for notifications so you don't miss any coverage of the Amateur Otaku podcast, and you don't miss any coverage of My Hero Academia. If people wanted to find you, Isaac, where can people find you, brother?
Written work, Vobam Entertainment, and social media. It's Emblemaniac on Twitter.
Mike, where can people find you?
You can find me at Novice Cinephile everywhere, Twitter. For now, I don't know if Elon Musk's going to burn it down anytime soon. But you can also find me on YouTube, Instagram as well at the Novice Cinephile. You can find me work at Collider. You can find me at the Chatter After. We have amazing episodes there. We have a Man of Steel episode dropping this week, guys. Check that out.
It's all about
Very
heroes.
fun. A lot of heroes. If you like Deku and All Might, you'll dig Superman. Trust me.
Yep.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere.
And you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on. Oh my God. Argwinder, I'm trying to run a show here, but that's a great question.
Elon Musk clearly did more damage. But that is a debate for
his
another day.
quirk is still causing decay. So, well done. He doesn't get a go pass though. He doesn't. He's literally a villain in this story. And you can find us at the Amateur Otaku on Twitter. You can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52. We will see you in 2 weeks with more My Hero Academia. Stay tuned after the break where we cover Spy Family. See you guys. Peace.
様の声プラスオルトラ。
いつか僕らの上をすれ